Welcome back to Cali Water Ag's Multi-Benefit Land Repurposing Program series. In part 1.2 of this series, I will talk about different examples of land use alternatives that provide multiple benefits. In this video, I will briefly recap the types of projects funded by the Multi-Benefit Land Repurposing Program, also referred to as MLRP. I will describe what MLRP is and is not, and I will go over several examples of the multi-benefit alternative land uses. All right, let's get started. To recap, the MLRP supports projects that increase regional capacity to repurpose agricultural land to reduce reliance on groundwater, while also providing community benefits, economic well-being, water supply, renewable energy, and climate benefits. The multi-benefit land repurposing projects that are being developed and implemented are required to provide benefits for communities, and grantees are required to engage communities. The MLRP is a tool that facilitates the support of projects that increase regional capacity to repurpose agricultural land to reduce reliance on groundwater and the 6 undesirable results as per California's Sustainable Groundwater Management Act, or SGMA. For more information on SGMA, check out my San Joaquin Valley Water and Land Use series. MLRP is completely voluntary for a farmer or local water agency to implement agricultural land repurposing. Coordination and collaboration of land repurposing is necessary to improve outcomes as California addresses SGMA and groundwater overdraft. The MLRP is driven by collaboration and partnerships among communities, farmers, NGOs, water agencies, and other local entities working together to develop and implement equitable multi-benefit projects. Some alternative land uses that have been considered for agricultural land repurposing are grazing, low-impact solar, dryland agriculture, parks and green spaces, groundwater recharge, and wildlife habitat. Let's go over these and a few other land repurposing considerations. There is consideration for less water-intensive agriculture. For example, growing agave. Less water-intensive agriculture can provide water savings and help maintain regional crop diversity. Some types of less water-intensive agriculture can be annually fallowed during times of drought. The crop flexibility is important to consider as climate change brings about more frequent drought and flood conditions. A consideration for transitioning to less water-intensive agriculture is the market demand and specialized labor needs. Dryland agriculture provides some revenue and can serve as a transition crop. Dryland agriculture is flexible year to year, promotes soil health, and has pollinator potential. Some things to consider are that yields can be unpredictable, and it's not viable in some regions with limited rainfall. Grazing provides some revenue and can support soil health if managed well, and can be compatible with native vegetation species. It is low density, and rotational grazing can help avoid erosion and soil degradation. This alternative requires investment in fencing, and the amount of feed is dependent on rainfall. Low-impact solar provides substantial revenue. It is a clean energy source and can provide multi-benefits. One example of a multi-benefit use of solar on agriculture or agrivoltaics is to provide shade for livestock and crops, helping to keep moisture in the soil and reduce water demand. This option may not be possible everywhere. Some considerations are that it requires the right physical conditions and accessibility to transmission infrastructure. Pollinator-friendly cover crops help improve soil quality, reduces dust and erosion, and can support pollinators like bees and butterflies. It can also be planted field-wide or between crop rows. Some considerations are that seed mixes need to be selected based on local rainfall patterns and soil conditions. Wildlife habitat improves regional diversity and provides habitat for endangered species and native plants. It increases soil carbon storage, supports soil health, and pollinators. Wildlife habitat can also offer recreational opportunities, and there is funding available. Things to consider when implementing habitat restoration is the distance to existing habitat, as connected and large areas lead to more successful implementation. Another consideration is that funding can be difficult to access and is unique to each applicant and field conditions, but don't be discouraged. It is important to work with wildlife agencies to ensure that the proper permits are in place. Multi-benefit groundwater recharge helps store water for future use, could reduce downstream flood risks, can improve well reliability, and can also provide habitat and support ecosystems. There are some cases in which groundwater recharge and agriculture can work together successfully in some regions, given the right soil conditions. Groundwater recharge implemented on agricultural fields is often referred to as Agricultural Managed Aquifer Recharge, or AGMAR. Studies have found that high saturation tolerant crops like rice, almonds, and alfalfa are ideal in some locations to promote groundwater recharge. When implementing groundwater recharge, it is important to consider water quality, since contamination in groundwater aquifers can worsen groundwater quality conditions. Implementing groundwater recharge also requires conveyance infrastructure and permits. Parks and green space provides recreational opportunities for communities and can be a buffer against environmental health threats, especially near underrepresented, low-income rural communities that are already faced with poor air and water quality. Xeriscaping requires little to no irrigation and can help reduce or eliminate applied water beyond rainfall, while also providing spaces to walk and enjoy the outdoors. Equitable siting is something to consider when implementing parks and green space. Traditional land uses are an important part of keeping cultural traditions alive for many tribes. It can help tribes maintain their traditional arts and lifestyle, while also providing habitat for wildlife, flood protection, and recreational opportunities. Some considerations are that tribal rights, regulatory hurdles, and conflicting land use interests can pose challenges to restoring tribal land uses and cultural practices. These are all the multi-benefit land repurposing options I have to share with you. But remember that MLRP is a tool that provides the opportunity to become creative and innovative to address California's most critical problem, groundwater overdraft. I wanted to share an example of what a habitat restoration of a previously agricultural field looks like 10 years later. This photo is showing almonds on the left with a habitat restoration site on the right. The field on the right was previously agriculture, and this is what that field looks like 10 years after restoration. The repurposing of this agricultural field to wildlife habitat provides a great example of multi-benefits. As you can see, the field retained floodwaters and is providing habitat for migratory birds and recharging the groundwater aquifer on this site. To summarize, Multi-Benefit Land Repurposing Program, or MLRP, is a tool to support projects that increase regional capacity to repurpose agricultural land to reduce reliance on groundwater. MLRP is not a law, nor is it mandatory for a farmer or local water agency to implement, but coordination and collaboration can improve outcomes. Alternative land uses can provide multiple benefits to improve community health, economic well-being, water supply, renewable energy, and climate benefits. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to hit that like button and share with family and friends. Subscribe to Cali Water Ag to stay tuned for upcoming videos on the Multi-Benefit Land Repurposing Program. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the video comments or email at caliwaterag@gmail.com as shown on the screen. A special thanks to the Multi-Benefit Land Repurposing Program's statewide support entity and the Department of Conservation for funding and editorial support. Until next time.